All right, let's start the webinar. Welcome everyone. Thank you very much for joining to our today's webinar titled Medical Device Development, Quality Assurance and also Testing. My name is Mylan Tran and I will be the host of today's webinar. So let me walk you through the agenda for today's webinar. Before we jump off to our presentation, let me quickly tell you about our structure of this webinar. So after the presentation discussing the basics of the quality assurance and also testing in medical development, you will have a chance to learn more about enforcing processes, managing risks and also releases, and of course testing. We will show you later in a live demonstration how it's all done during the live demonstration in our application lifecycle tool named codeBeamer. So after the live demonstration, where we will get the chance to learn more about codeBeamer's Q&A functionality, including the risk management, testing, and also traceability and other features which support compliance with relevant industry standards, we will also show you how to use codeBeamer to manage your releases and also version and baselines with electronic signatures, risks, and how to ensure test coverage using our test coverage browser. And if you are having any questions at any point of the webinar, please feel free to use the integrated question area of your GoToMeeting dashboard, and I will do my best to answer them all in the end of the webinar. And if I don't get to your question, I will follow up with you, of course. And also, a recording of today's webinar will be available on our website soon after the webinar. And once you're visiting our webpage, please make sure that you will also browse through our upcoming webinars. And last week we talked about the flexible workflow configuration with codeBeamer, where you can pretty much configure your work item fields as according to your processes and also all the workflow, as well as you can set up guards and e-signatures which fit your requirements and suit your internal processes best. So also just feel free to check out this recording of the last webinar as well. So moving on, just a few words about Finland Software. Finland Software was founded in the year 1998, and we are headquartered in Stuttgart in Germany. We also have partners in Korea or resellers in Korea and Taiwan. And our hosting and also rollout partner is Lufthansa Industry Solution, which starts from small installation from 4 to 5 users up to large number of users, which is 5,000 users. Another thing is that we are the developers and also the sole vendors of codeBeamer application lifecycle management, which is a fully integrated and also complete application lifecycle management solution with 5 different components, which is the requirements management, software development management. We also have Q&A test management component, and also you can manage your demands within codeBeamer, and also we support DevOps, also IT operation within codeBeamer. So on this slide you can see a short list of our clients. So as you can see here, we have various clients from diverse industries such as the automotive, high-tech industry, also defense, finance, and of course medical industry as well. And we have customers from other industries, and we have customers or companies in the rise of mid-size to large global enterprises. So for example, Siemens, Daimler, Medtronic, or even Pentex Medical and Samsung. So let's jump to our main topic today, which is the medical safety. As you might know, the reliability, the safety, and also to ensure high quality in the development of medical, mostly 2 of the top concerns when it comes to medical devices are reliability, safety, and also ensuring the high quality. And the lives of humans, users may depend on such medical device, so the safety and the reliability is very vital. And also tragic accidents and many of these errors are resulting from medical device failure, and these could have been prevented in the design stage or in the early stage. And errors or failures could not only affect the obvious reputation loss of manufacturing companies, it could also lead to not so obvious results like direct financial consequences. And also, researchers have shown that in countries with advanced healthcare systems, likely about 10% of patients are affected by medical errors. And also, product recalls and lawsuits are not unheard in the medical industry. The growing number of medical device recalls in the recent last 10 years is mostly likely a direct consequence of the increasing complexity of software-driven and also embedded devices. And often a large percentage of recalls are simply caused by a software failure that could have been prevented. On this slide you can see an FDA research. An FDA research has reported also that the software design failures have been responsible for a very large portion of these recalls. So accounting for about 15% of all the devices recalls between 2010 and 2012. The more your device relies on software, and the more you have to step up on your Q&A efforts to avoid grave consequences. So how does one ensure compliance while managing already complex processes involved in the development? So before we really move on to the live demonstration, basically to ensure the process quality and also to enforce process that helps to achieve an acceptance level of risk and also safety for a medical device, we have various industry regulations and standards. So let me introduce shortly two of the most important standards, which are the IEC 62304 and ISO 14971. As an international regulation used both in the EU and also in the United States, the IEC 62304 standard aims to ensure the safety and also the quality of your end product, which can be either software or even an embedded software or software embedded in a medical device. The ISO 14971 is a standard which governs risk management in the medical device software development. So here again, let me just quickly give you a short overview about the IEC 62304. So as you can see on the slide, the standard covers all or everything or processes to ensure the quality and also the safety. And this standard goes from software development planning to design to risk management and all the way down even to testing, to release and also to the maintenance. And you will see later in a live demonstration how codeBeamer can fulfill the compliance with the IEC 62304. And speaking of which, in addition to its advanced features and also the functionality to support the compliance, codeBeamer Application Lifecycle Management also offers an IEC 62304 medical template with pre-configured workflow, trackers, and also a medical wiki with valuable domain knowledge, release, and also an integrated document management. And these ensure full traceability and also auditability through your whole development lifecycle. So please feel free to also browse on our website to download our medical brochure, which is totally free of charge. And as I mentioned before, our medical template has a very valuable piece of content and knowledge. So moving on to the next standard, the ISO 14971, let me also give you a short overview. This ISO standard covers the risk analysis and also the documentation of reporting of the risk management lifecycle, as well as a residual risk analysis and monitoring of the device in the operation. So specifically, it regulates the assignment of risk management responsibilities, risks, and also residual risk analysis. The creation of risk management files also, documenting the intended use of the system being developed, and post-production monitoring and reporting. And through the advanced feature of codeBeamer for managing risks, codeBeamer can greatly cover the compliance with the ISO 14971 standard. And we will show you in a live demonstration now how a codeBeamer supports the medical development processes in many ways and how to fulfill the international standards. But before we directly jump into our live demonstration, let me quickly ask you a few simple questions. So it will just take a few seconds to answer these questions. So the first question is, what development methodology are you using right now? Are you working with Agile, Scrum, Waterfall, also V-model, or are you even using the hybrid model? All right, there are still some votes. I will wait a few seconds. All right, thank you for answers. The next question will be, which tool are you using right now? Are you currently using MS Office, IBM, Jira, HP, or other tools? All right, thanks again. And the last question will be, are you searching for a tool to manage just requirements, testing? Are you searching for a tool to manage the entire development lifecycle, or just even agile projects, or even to scale multiple agile projects? All right. Thank you so much for your answers. So right now I will jump into the codeBeamer live demonstration, and therefore I will jump into my browser. So you can see as of now we are in our medical template in the integrated wiki. So within our medical wiki we provide some descriptions and also information how to go use our medical template, and also we're describing the different processes which is relevant for the ISO standards. So once I expand or go to the software development plan, you can see that, for example, we have a software development plan giving you more information how the processes works, how to provide traceability, and also once you go deep dive down more into the system design and software development, we also provide more information on that. Also, you can see that you can continuously integrate your testing. So you can simply derive your test cases directly from your requirements and also from your software source code, of course. Let me just show you how this looks like. So for example, this is a description how to provide software configuration and also plan your software configuration management according to the standard. You can also see, as I mentioned before, we have different standards, methods, and tools within codeBeamer to achieve the compliance. And also a short description about the testing of software and also, of course, hardware provide, and also short description about the risk management, software risk management, and you can see a risk matrix diagram, and also a short description of the life cycle, how you can manage the risk best is in the description as well. So for example, if you identify a risk, then it comes to the specific status, and you can provide different fields. So as codeBeamer or the medical template contains specific or pre-designed trackers and also predefined fields, you can pretty much fill in your values into the risk tracker. And also, as I mentioned before, full traceability is guaranteed. So also, if I go to the traceability, you can see that we have a traceability matrix which shows your risk related to system requirements, software requirements, test cases. This is also fully customizable. So, for example, if you want to see additional requirements or if you have to manage multiple risks, then you can also add new risks. Once I scroll down, you can see our risk matrix diagram. So, for example, we are showing basically the risk-related requirements, and also the other way around, the requirements-related risk. So, as I mentioned before, we have pre-configured trackers. So the main point about codeBeamer are the so-called trackers, where you can pretty much define work items such as customer requirements, system requirements, software requirements, and then you can derive the architecture and continuously integrate with the test case, which you can see on the right-hand side in the config items. So basically the config items are to manage and also to configure your work items such in a release, or you can integrate your work items continuously and test them. As you can also see, I am having, or codeBeamer is running on a browser. So codeBeamer is a single platform which relies on a single repository using standard browsers such as Firefox, Chrome, Safari, and Internet Explorer. In codeBeamer, you can easily establish links between all the work items from the beginning of your product lifecycle all the way down to testing, release, and the maintenance. And you can have the full traceability. So for example, let me explain the different trackers. So in the tracker customer requirements, you simply, so the tracker contains simply all requirements which are coming from the customer or they are defined by the market. So basically these are giving the basics for the design of the system. So in the system requirements, this tracker is basically a breakdown of your customer requirements into a more detailed system-oriented set of your requirements. And once you have the system requirements, you can break down your system requirements to software requirements. And the tracker architecture contains the system architecture, which is derived from system requirements and the software requirements. And as I mentioned before, we have a pre-configured risk tracker as well. And this tracker contains a discovered risk in the risk assessment process, and it entries and generates further work for your entire design and likely results in the entries in the system requirements tracker, software requirements tracker, architecture tracker, and also in a test case tracker, which you see here. All right, as I mentioned before, we have a so-called traceability browser. Let me just quickly show you. So once you derive your customer requirements from your system requirements, you can easily jump directly into a traceability browser and show all the requirements with dependencies. So for example, I'm choosing the customer requirements, and let's go down to the system requirements. And now I'm selecting the next suggested tracker to show the dependency of. So let me simply choose the software requirements and then, for example, the test cases. And the next step will be that I'm scrolling out a little bit or zooming out a little bit so we can see the traceability browser. So as of now, we can see, for example, here we just have one system requirements which is dependent on the customer requirements. And also we have various customer requirements with no dependencies at all. Once I scroll down, you can see the multiple level of dependencies through your customer requirements to your test cases. And you can even show up the dependencies or on source code level. So you can really deep dive down on source code level as well. So let me just pick up this example. You can see we have customer requirement here, and this customer requirement, the interface to the hotel control system, has two related system requirements. And once I hover through the system requirement, you can again see the dependencies on the software requirement and also on the test case. So you can see here pretty much that each software requirement has a test case each. Another great thing is that you can also export this traceability browser either to export or either to Excel or to Word. So let me just quickly export it to Excel. Sorry, wrong button. Let me export again. And now click on export and save this up. And now you can see how the traceability browser in the Excel file looks like. So basically we provide the information as well. So for example, you can see the dependency from customer requirements to system requirements, and also down to software requirements, and here to test cases as well. And the nice thing about the Excel import is that you also have the direct URL. So for example, if you click onto the customer requirement, you can directly jump into that work item to see the specific or detailed information of. All right, let me show you how you can set up the different connections. So for example, if you have customer requirement, let me just simply add a new customer requirement by clicking on this plus symbol. And let's name it, for example, medical PC with multi-touch. And I'm just clicking on enter. You see we just collected a new customer requirement in the specific customer requirements tracker. And now this is a very new feature which I also going to introduce you. I'm just opening up another browser, so you can see we are in the customer requirements here and also in the system requirements. So let me add a relating system requirement from our customer requirement, and for example, let's call it USB port. Just click on enter again. And now you can directly set up the connection from your customer requirement to your system requirement by drag and drop. So for example, I'm just selecting this one. You can see we can set up either a reference or an association, and the connection between customer requirement and system requirements will be there. So let me just drag this one from one browser window to another one and save this up. And I'm going to the detailed view of my customer requirement to the relations, and you can see in the relations tab we have the connection from system requirement to customer requirement. So basically, when I'm in this view, so this is the customer requirement, I can go down to the system requirement. So the first connection is there. Let me just add up another connection. So basically from software system requirement to software requirement, and I'm going the other way around. So for example, I have the system requirement here, and basically once if you click on the new referring item, you are also able to directly derive software requirements or other work items such as architecture, or even generate test cases directly in this view. So for example, let me just add a new software requirement from our USB port. And you can type in a name. So for example, let's define the USB driver. And let's set this up. Now I'm expanding this view. I'm just refreshing the page. And you see we just generated a new software requirement. Another thing is also you can just drag this to another browser window to, for example, create an association. And then from the software requirements, I can directly also generate a test case. So let's generate a test case. All right. I hope this wasn't confusing you too much, but I'm going back to the traceability browser. And again, I want to show the traceability. And you'll see we have customer requirement relating to a system requirement to a software requirement that we just generated 2 test cases. So this was fairly easy. Another great feature that we have is that with each tracker we have a very powerful workflow engine. So pretty much you can define your own processes. If you click on more to customize, you can see that you can, in the state transitions field, you can pretty much set up your own state transitions. So for example, you can also force or automate your processes. So we are now in a requirements tracker, and let me explain you this workflow a little bit. So If you submit a new requirement, then it comes to the status new, and from the status new you can change to another status such as waiting for approval, to draft, or to reject, or even to accept. And in case that your requirements changes from new to accept, then you see the blue arrow which shows to another tracker, the test case. And automatically, once your requirement changed from new to accepted, then automatically your test cases which are in the status new will also change in design. So let me show you real quick how this looks like. So for example, I'm just adding a new requirement. So for example, the USB 3.1. And I'm generating test case directly here, recursively. And I'm open up another test case, my test case tracker. And you should see here our newly created USB 3.0, which is in the status new. So you can see the red symbol here, which visualizes the status for this test case. So let me just jump back to the requirements and change the status from new to accept. So I'm just accepting this one. And I hope that once I'm going back and refresh the page, okay, sorry about that. Missed one step, so I'm just deleting this one, adding another USB 3.2. Of course, it didn't work because we didn't define the subject field. So I need to first add the reference to allow the workflow chain. So I'm just typing in the USB test case, and I'm saving up. And now again, let me change the status from new to accept. I'm refreshing the page, and you see the color changed from red to orange. So basically, this is the way how we can enforce workflow processes as well. Another thing is that we also have kind of approval workflow, so can pretty much build up very complex workflows in codeBeamer and also with approvals. So for example, let me explain this workflow again. So once you, for example, have an item, you submit this item, it comes to the status new, and then you have to select all the owners. So you can see once I go in here, you have to on one hand, select an owner, which is a requirements engineer, and you can also set an owner, which has to be a quality engineer. And then once you set the your owners, you can either change the status from new to review, and then from ready to review to approval pending. And then ultimately, codeBeamer generates subtasks for the reviewer or the owner to approve. And then your reviewer can either accept or reject or even cancel. And the main process will just go on when all reviewers are accepting the approval. And therefore, they have to validate with their user signature. Also, I will demonstrate you real quick. So for example, let me add a new item. Let's call it mini USB 3.0. Now I'm just saving up. So now we are status new, and I'm trying to change the status from new into review, and we have a guard. So as you remember, we have to select all owners in a specific, who has a specific role. So now I'm going to edit this again, and for example, add myself. I'm the requirements engineer, and also my demo user, who is the quality engineer. And I'm saving this up, and now I'm changing the status from new to ready to review. So you see it's possible now as the condition has yields true. So now I'm just verifying the item again and see we are in status approval pending. And as of now, codeBeamer directly generates subtasks to approve. So I can see I have to approve this item. And therefore I can directly jump into the My Start tab to My Items, as the My Items contains all the to-do work items. So for example, if I click here, I can review the item and also see I have to have a look at this item. You see there's a URL. I can directly jump into that item. So now I can accept this one and see we have an electronic signature. So I have to put in my signature, but I'm saving up, and you see that the signature is required. And now let me type in something, everything except my real password, and I'm saving up again, and you see the signature is invalid. So now let me put in my real signature, and you see now the status has been accepted. So now also my quality engineer has to accept. So I'm opening up a Firefox instance and see I'm logged in as the quality engineer, and now he can also go to my items, and he has to log in again. And then he sees, okay, Erica has to approve this mini item as well. So let's approve this item. So we are just accepting this one. Click on save. So both of us just accepting the mini USB, and I'm jumping to our main process back. So once I refresh the page, the status should change from approval to active. So this is the way how you can pretty much allow process enforcement using guards and also e-signatures. All right, let me jump into our medical template back again to our risk tracker, and I'm going to show you how you can even manage your risks. So basically, once you define a risk, let me just add a new risk and call it, for example, let me, for example, call the risk vulnerable cyber. So I'm just adding the risk here. And then I can double click on that and edit the additional fields such as hazards. So what's the hazard? So for example, the hazard would be that I would have a weak security. I can save this up. I can type in detailed information from my risk, like the triggering event as well. So for example, this was a human mistake and unfinished security. I can save this up. Now I can type in a harm, like for example, no controls. The device is misfunctioning. I can click on save again. And then we can provide the likelihood and the severity. So for example, let's take 2 and 40. And codeBeamer will automatically calculate the risk value according to the likelihood and also the severity value. So let me save this up. You can see now we have a risk value of 80. As of now, I'm just about to go back to the traceability browser and show you. Of course, we have to somehow define this risk to a specific requirement. So when I go back to the system requirement, I can pretty much assign it to my USB port requirement. So therefore, on the right-hand side, you can see we have a risk field. Once I edit this one, you can choose this risk, go and set, and then save. And now another item on the risk matrix diagram should appear here. Let me quickly refresh page. So as you remember, we had like two items in the risk matrix diagram. And as we defined another risk from our system requirement, I will then simply scroll down and you see now we have 3 items, which is this one, So you can see here, sorry, it's not this one, it was 40, severity 40. So I'm clicking on this one, you can see we have the risk-related requirements. All right, so let's jump now to our test management capabilities to ensure the efficient use of your testing requirements. Testing resources, codeBeamer has also like trackers for test cases. Therefore, let me, for example, go back to system requirement and generate a new test case directly from here. All right. Now I'm viewing the test case tracker. I'm just editing. All right, you can see the newly created test case here. So once I double click on that one, I can edit my test case. You can see this test case verifies or has a connection to my system requirement through the verifies field. And now, for example, I can also define test parameters. So for example, you can either put parameter in a wiki using some of our examples. So for example, you can just use the wiki markdown, just copy and paste it into here. Just delete again. Of course, we have to go to the markup tab. And for example, you can put in the color and the weight. And I'm just deleting this. And the color should be red. The other color should be blue. And the weight is, for example, sorry for that, I'm using kilogram. And another parameter should be, for example, 20 kilogram. Or just, let's say 20. And I'm deleting the last one, the last parameter. And down here you can even add a step manually for a test case. So either just put in an action like press button, and the expected result should be that the button lights up. Or on the right hand side you can see the test case. So you can pretty much have access to test cases which you previously defined. Like if you click on the test case, you can see down here all test steps which you previously defined. So for example, we can just, by dragging the test steps into the field, we can reuse the test steps into our currently editing test case. Also, we can have access to other projects and reuse even test sets from test case from another project. This is pretty nice. So as we defined here some test parameters, and we know where we are using the test parameters. Let me just include this one in the text, or you can also include them in the field, in the description. So therefore, we just need to add some description like color and, sorry, typo, and then the weight. So let me just save this. As we are here now, we are accepting this test case to verify that everything is okay with the test case. You can also see down here we have the test steps, we have 2 test parameters. So let me just change the status from new to accept, and let's create a new test run. So we can click on save, and of course we have to set or choose a test set configuration first. Let me save this up. And now we can run this test case. So the first thing what you can see here is the test run, which counts the time. So you can pretty much see the effort, how much time you need for each specific test case and also test step. So you can see we are about to test the first test case. And as we had put in the test parameters using color, which is red, and also the weight, which is red, codeBeamer put in the different parameters using in the wiki. So we're about to test the first parameter for our first test case, and you can see down here we have the test steps. the action, you can type in the actual result as well and also attach a file. And let's say you can pass a step, and also you can pass this step. Now we are about to save it. You can see this is the same test case, but we are using the second parameter, the blue one, and the 20 kilogram. And now we can say we can fail the step, and also we can pass the next step. And as one step failed, we can directly report a bug. So once I click into a report bug, I'm able to select the right project and also the tracker. So for example, let me choose the right project, which is this one, and I want to submit it in a tracker bugs. So we also have a predefined bug tracker where you can pretty much manage all your bugs. While reporting, you can see all specific information in the description page, like you can see in which test case the failure has been detected, in which configuration, in which release, in which test step, and also using which parameter here. So once I save this up, we just finished the test run. So basically you can see that the result has been failed as one test step failed. You can also see here that we directly reported a bug. So also here you have full traceability as it can directly jump into the reported bug. Another thing is that this is pretty nice. You can not even only test single test cases, but you can also set up test sets. So basically test sets are for regression tests, so you can put in many test cases and test them together. So for example, if I create a new test set for many test cases, I can pretty much scroll down, and again on the right hand side you can see all the test cases in this project. So let me just reuse this touchscreen test case and for example another test case. So we are testing 3 test cases. Maybe let me just select another one. And now we are having 3 test cases in this test set. Another thing is, of course, you can also reuse test sets from another project or test case from another project. So for example, I can just drag it down here and we are reusing test case 1 and 2. So let me again click to save. And afterwards, you can create a new test run again. Test run for test set. And you can save this up. Again, I missed to choose a test configuration. Let me choose a test configuration. So basically this is the environment where you want to run your test. Afterwards, I can run the test again and we see the reuse test case, and now I'm about to pass all the steps. So this is another test case and another test case with test steps. So let me just accept them all. And you see the progress is 100%, the actual result is passed, and pretty much the test run for this test set is successful. And we have a very nice feature called coverage browser. So let me show you that our test coverage browser pretty much provides a very convenient and also efficient overview of your testing process. So for example, you can see on the right hand side all the system requirements and how much test case we have for a specific requirement. You can also see the coverage analysis and also how much if the test case was successful or has been failed. Another thing is you can apply different filters. So for example, we can see that the test case here has passed. And also once you scroll here, these are the test cases which I just tested in my test set, as you remembered. And I can see pretty much we have still to test the automatic control of flow, for example. So this gives you a very nice overview. Another thing is in codeBeamer everything is being versioned, so you can have full traceability on work item level as well. So for example, let me extend, go to properties, and for example, change the budget of my CT scan device from $4,000 to $2,000. Let me save this up. and I'm going to the detailed view of my CT scan device, we have a history section here. So you can see pretty much the budget has been changed from 4,000 to 2,000. So you can see on any time who has made the change, on what time and when. Another thing is that all your information can be also stored in a so-called baseline. So we are in the tab baseline here, without having to integrate any other standalone tools where you can facilitate your regulatory compliance audits. So for example, you just simply draw a new baseline. Let's call it baseline number 1. You can also validate the baseline with your electronic signature. So let me type in my electronic signature and click on OK. So we're about to create a complete versioning or a snapshot of your complete project. So as of now, we can see we have a new baseline, and now I'm able to select an older baseline version. So let's take the baseline number 2, which is from March. And I'm selecting the new baseline number 9, and now we can compare. So this is basically the statistics where I can see all the changes been made from my last, from March until today. So I can see pretty much on work item level something changed, on wiki, document, project, reports, and if you commit source code, also on source code level, everything is backed up here. So pretty much I can go to the detailed view and, for example, show detailed, show the diffs. So let me click onto the show diff, and you see once I expand this view, we can see pretty much who has changed from version number 2 to version number 9. So the new value is highlighted in green, and also the old value, which has been deleted, is appearing here in red. And also you can see who has made the change at what time and when. All right, so let me just go back to live demonstration. Basically, thank you very much. This was the live demonstration. Thank you very much also for your attention. Before we go to the Q&A session, I would like to ask you a last question, which is, would you like to receive further information about codeBeamer? So please just take a few seconds again. And also, we would like to invite you to our next webinar titled Integrating Git, Mercurial, and Subversion into Application Lifecycle Management on the 19th August at 4 p.m. All right, thank you for your answers. All right, here we are. So this is our next webinar. And now let me quickly jump into the Q&A. So let's see if you have some questions. All right, I don't see any questions so far, so please, if you have any questions, just use the integrated GoToMeeting dashboard and type in your questions. I will wait a few minutes and see if you have further questions. All right, still no questions. So thank you very much for your attention today, and possibly